Patricia Marie Small went missing near Liberty, Texas on May 11th, 2002. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance are murky, but likely she was last seen around the 2400 block of Beaumont Avenue. It's unclear whether she was abducted or left on her own volition. Patricia was 18 at the time. She's a white female who is approximately 5'6" and weighs around 110 pounds. She has sandy blonde hair and blue eyes. She has a mole on the right side of her head and a heart tattoo on her right ankle with a ribbon above it that reads, "Jennifer Friends Forever." While prepping for this interview, I came across the Missing Texas 40 Facebook page, which I'd never heard of before. I learned about a cluster of more than 40 people who have gone missing outside of Houston, Texas, primarily in and around Liberty and Montgomery counties. There doesn't seem to be a clear specific reason why these people go missing, but I've been told some theories, including human trafficking and criminal activity, may have something to do with it. If you're listening and know someone who's gone missing in these areas and want to share their story, please reach out to me through the Missing and Unexplained Facebook page. In Patricia's case, if you know anything about her disappearance, please get in touch with the Liberty Police Department at 936-336-5666 and reference case number 022463. Again, that's case number 022463. Please also check out the Facebook page Help Find Missing Person Patricia Marie Small. For this episode, I spoke to Patricia's younger sister Barbara about her disappearance. Here's my interview with her. I like to start kind of easier in terms of, I don't know Patricia, I never got to meet her. So I'm hoping you can tell me about her. What is her personality like? What are her interests or hobbies? That sort of thing. What you can remember.
I remember before everything went south. I want to start there. Before we moved out, Patricia was always fun, loving, goofy. If you ever had a problem, she would make you laugh no matter what. She loved sports. She played softball, volleyball, which she was amazing in. She focused hard in school. She was accepted to Rochester, New York. We were so excited when that came in the mail. She was a person that lit up the room. Like, she had the most beautiful smile, and even if she was going through something, she would put it to the side to take care of you. She was this beautiful inside and out. The best protective big sister and friend anyone could ask for.
That's what I was going to ask next, kind of just as a follow-up. You were the younger sister. How many years are between you two, and what was that dynamic like growing up?
I'm almost 4 years apart. 3.5 years apart. But the older sisters are a little bit older, so they kind of moved out at the end before, I took off. So it was mainly me and Patricia. Laura moved and stayed with a family down the road. So she was avoided to all that went on in the household. And, she had a better life. And, I'm not going to lie, I was a little jealous. She had a great life. So it was just me and Patricia. Me and Patricia, had this special bond. Even though she was a daddy's girl, I was a mama's girl. We were inseparable. We even talked about, before I ran away from home, we had even, somehow it came up, and Patricia was like, no matter what, if we ever lose each other or one of us go missing, we'll find each other. And I was like, yes, of course, never thinking 4 years later it would happen, or 3 years later it would happen. Before we get into her disappearance, I think one of the important things to talk about is always what people looked like when they went missing. I mean, just so people can have an idea of what to look out for as well. Can you describe your sister's physical appearance? What stands out about her, and then maybe if you want to end on talking about what you remember her wearing or looking like the day she did go missing, or the day before. I don't know what she was wearing, unfortunately. But Patricia, she's 5'8", very skinny. I think she weighed around 110 to 120 at the most. She has what we call dirty blonde hair. It's brown and blonde highlights naturally with a little bit of a red tint. And it's very thick hair. Smile is unique. She hated it growing up because she said it looked like she had vampire teeth, but on the side, on both sides, the teeth stuck out. I think it was the third one stuck out on both sides. And so that's something that, is very noticeable. She had a mole on the right side of her head, a little above her eyebrow on the right side. She has a scar on her knee that kind of looks like an F. She got that from a fall when we were skating. And then she has a tattoo on her inner thigh with a ribbon that says, a wavy ribbon that says, Jennifer, best friend forever.
One of the things about this case that kind of drew me in was how little details there are publicly. I mean, obviously you have a lot on the actual Facebook page. It wasn't until I got to your Facebook page about your sister that I started to understand, a little bit of details surrounding her disappearance. Can you tell me, I know it's a big question and it's a little vague, but can you tell me, what you remember about the circumstances surrounding her disappearance? I mean, maybe we don't have to go into what we think happened to her yet, but can you just remember when you found out and what your reaction was and what the family's reaction was?
Okay, the last time I seen Patricia, we had been separated by CPS. And my aunt came and picked us up until my mom got there. And Patricia came by. It was maybe like a few days later, maybe a week. I can't actually remember, but she came there and she was like, Barbie, I need you to come with me. Like, I can't do this by myself. And I'm like, if I leave, they're going to call CPS and I'll never see you again. And that was the last time that I seen Patricia. She was with a girl named Crystal Taylor, which coincidentally is the detective's last name too, but I'll get into that later. She was living in Liberty, Texas, and we don't know exactly what happened, only have theories, but the circumstances was she was alone. I found out that the detective would go to where she was staying and kind of stake it out because she wanted the people to know that or think that she was talking to the police, which is it's dangerous. She shouldn't have did that.
One thing I wanted to follow up, and if you don't want to talk about this part, that's totally understandable, but I wonder if it's important. But it sounds like, was there a lot of turmoil in your life at the time with your family? Like, it sounds like maybe, I don't know, it just sounds like maybe you two were thinking of running away. Like, was there a lot of talk about that?
We did. Actually, I ran away at the age of 12. Not because of my mom, but because of my dad. He was very abusive. He hated women. I'm sorry. He touched me, and whenever I tried to speak about it, the abuse got worse, so I left. And Patricia knew I wasn't going to stay, so that's why she ended up on the street. It wasn't because she was a bad person. She just wanted to protect me. And we had been out of the house for almost 3 years. My mom tried so hard to get us back. And even though it wasn't her, I was still angry at the world. Because before he touched me, I had just lost my virginity to rape. And he knew that. So I had to get away. There was no staying home. So Patricia came with me, and, life was good for a little while, we thought. We were having fun. We had good people around us. at times that looked after us, that gave us places to stay, would feed us. Red gave Patricia a job at a bar when she was 17, and to help her out so she could make money. We did pretty good back then, and everything was going good. I would say right before her disappearance, my sister Laura wanted to come live with us. I was against it. Like I said, I was a little bit jealous, I'm not going to lie, because of her lifestyle. And Patricia said, no, if she needs us, we got to be there for her. And so Laura came and lived with us. And because now it was 3 people, it was hard to stay at someone's house. And so we ended up moving into a motel, and that's when everything went sour. I had gotten into a relationship with a guy, and I had found out that because he thought I was cheating on him, he took Patricia and did some horrible things to her, and then took me to the same place with her in the car and did the same things with me. I didn't find that out until one day when he heard me on the phone. He was outside listening, and heard me on the phone, came in and attacked me, almost at the toilet. And everybody's like, get out. My sister Laura was like, get out. But Patricia was obviously quiet, and I didn't know why until after he left the room. Patricia told me what he did, and she said she was just scared to tell me because she thought I wouldn't believe her. And I told her, Patricia, you're my sister. I will always believe you. And I didn't talk to him from that day forth. So it was a lot of pain right before she went missing. And yes, we did, smoke marijuana. And he smoked PCP. It was a thing in Liberty County, still is. It was a way for her to deal with the pain. And I tried it too. She wasn't addicted to it, but she tried it. And Patricia was just hurt. Everything was falling apart that she had worked so hard to protect. And we were being harassed basically by that guy. And it was horrible at the end. About a few weeks later, Patricia was caught with the PCP in her pocket. The cop didn't know what it was, let her go. And the next day, they showed up to where we were staying at the motel room. And that's when Detective Taylor, she was with the drug force team at the time. The drug force team, CPS, everybody came, searched us. I had weed on me. Excuse me. And they called my aunt and made us leave with her aunt. And Patricia had to stay. My aunt would not take her. As a matter of fact, when Patricia came that day in the truck with Crystal, asking me to go with her, my aunt would not let her out of the car, screaming and hollering at her, saying, "You're a drug addict. You're no good. Don't step out on my property." I was in disbelief. Like, how can y'all treat her like this? What is going on? I told Patricia to meet me at the at the store later on that night, but it never happened because that was the only way I would be able to be with her. But we were separated, and it's like her life was made to be a living hell. Excuse my language, but to find out that after Patricia got out of jail, I didn't even know that. But I was told by Annie that Detective Taylor said that she would go, in front of the hotel and, kind of stake her out like I told you earlier. But I really feel like everybody knew she was alone, and that's why she went missing. I, in my heart, think Donnie had something to do with it, my ex, but I can't prove it. And we tried to get an interview with him, and it was denied, and he has since died from cancer. But it was pretty bad at the end. But Patricia is not how the detective made her out to be, or how my aunt made her out to be. Yes, she messed up. We all messed up, but that does not make a person. She was not like everyday drug user or anything. It was a way to cope from time to time. She was still that beautiful, caring person, and now is lost in the world because no one wanted to help her. After we had gotten taken by CPS, I found this out years later because they said they did not want to tell me because they did not want to hurt my feelings or, but she was seen in a ditch, naked, and in Crosby, and someone called the ambulance and brought her to Houston Methodist Hospital in Baytown, Texas. And I guess they contacted my dad, and him and Laura went. And instead of finding out what happened to Patricia, they had to call security to separate my dad and Laura from Patricia because they were trying to attack her. And I just don't know where all of this hatred came from, because she wasn't a bad person. She was a daddy's girl. Even though she knew what happened, it hurt her because she was a daddy's girl. So for him to treat her like that and hear that, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why did everybody turn on her? She did nothing wrong. She was a protector. She was sweet and loving. So at the end, it just hurts to know that she felt so alone. And I really wish I would have went with her that day. I regret it terribly.
And I guess the last thing we know is that she got released from the jail for, the drugs or whatever, the crap that the police pulled. Mm-hmm. And then that's the last time, after her release, that's the last time anyone sees her?
That's the last time. Elaine told Crystal that, Detective Elaine Taylor told Crystal she was the last person to see her, because she was, watching her. And it was like the person just vanished. But Detective Taylor says, but she doesn't know about us and all this and that when she was there when we were separated. But yeah, that was the last time she was seen. It's like she just disappeared, like everybody else that goes missing in Liberty. It's like she just vanished. No clues. We were going to go get her stuff, and Crystal somehow got it and said, hey, I got the Christmas thing, so we were going to go get it. And she ended up throwing all her stuff away before we got there. So we have none of her stuff, none of her clothing, nothing like that.
Yeah, well, it sounds like to me, based on what you just told me, there's only really two options. Like, either she ran away because of everything that was happening in her life, which, like, who could blame her, I guess? I mean, that's a lot to take on as a 17-year-old. And then, like you said, like with some of the men in her life and your life as well, like, it seems like maybe they were very volatile and they could have done something to her. So, like, over the years, like, do you think she ran away? Do you think there was foul play? Like, what do you end up thinking about most of the time when you think about what might have happened?
honestly, I have to keep it in my head that she's still alive, because I can never give up. But I also know Patricia wouldn't go this long without contacting me. Her social has never been used. She hasn't been to a hospital. I believe Donnie had something to do with it, especially with Crystal, who was dating him at the time, made a comment that he had seen her at Reds and she was glowing and her hair looked, great and all this and that. Like, for him to make a comment like that makes me feel like he was saying like she was an angel. And it's not for him to say anything nice like that either. So I believe in my heart he had something to do with it. I do believe Crystal knows more than that statement, but she could be scared and now she thinks maybe she waited too long and she can get in trouble. But there are ways to get information anonymously. If she is out there, all I want to do is bring her home. She does not deserve to be out there. We deserve closure and she deserves peace.
You alluded to something just a little previous, and I wanted to go back to it. You said that people tend to just vanish in Liberty, and then you sent me a link while we were going back and forth about the missing Texas 40, which I had not heard of, and I've actually covered a couple cases in Texas, and no one's brought it to my attention yet, but it seems like that area of Texas, I mean, I guess I got two questions for you. Like, what is Liberty like in terms of, if someone hasn't been there, and what's the missing Texas 40?
Oh, Liberty, Texas, if you're not from there, you have good and bad parts. But the people there that are bad are very bad. They're very dangerous. They are not to be messed with. How do I say this? It's corrupt. All the people are corrupt. If they think that you know something or did something, they're going to let you know. I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened to me after Patricia went missing over a little bit of weed, which I did not take. I was kidnapped. They came to my place, and I felt the oddness, but I went anyway. And I was put in the middle in the back seat, and both guys got in, and they brought me down the road to this guy's house, and one guy got out, and the main guy got in and told the other guy to stay right there so I couldn't get out the other side. And he was like, you came, you stole from me, he's seen it, and this and that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that girl's lying, you know me. Anyways, he ended up believing me and letting me go. I don't know what happened to that girl because I took off through the woods and I got out of there as quick as I could. Someone seen me, knew something was wrong, picked me up and brought me home. These people are very serious. There's a lot of drugs around there. There's a lot of bad things that happen in Liberty County. So it's not safe. If you know somebody, at family, you're okay. But if you're just passing through, you stay the night, there's a chance things could happen. But they keep it secret. It's like a secret. You have to know it because Liberty, Ames, all of that is connected. Yeah, it's not safe at all. And the missing Texas 40, that's why when they found out about it, it was through a guy. His brother's missing too. We're friends on Facebook, and he'll message me when something is found or, they found a body or something like that. He'll let me know. But his brother, Larry, Kenner came up missing, and so he contacted a lady, and that's how the missing Texas 40 came about. They started researching, and like, wait a minute, this don't seem right. There's too many missing and unidentified people in these two towns. And they did research and was like, there's 270, I think, 76 counties in Texas, and that would make, I think, 2 people for each county. But something's not right here, and that's how it came about. And a lot of people still don't know about the Missing Texas 40, and I try to promote it and get it out there, because I think it's important to see how many people just vanish and nobody's found. Are they really looking for our families? I know they didn't look for Patricia, but it seems like a lot of corruption, and like they want to hide everything. Like they don't want nothing on there. And actually, you have to go to a certain page. I can't think of it to actually put the person who is missing on there, or will not show up online. I didn't know that until the Missing Texas 40 page made an announcement, about that. So,
it sounds like corruption and that sort of thing is pretty rampant in that part of Texas. Like, was that your feeling dealing with the police as well? Like, you kind of alluded to it just there that, they didn't really try to look for Patricia. Like, what was your interaction like with the detective afterwards?
Oh my gosh. Horrible. I don't think my mom or any of us have ever been talked like, and I will tell you this too, and I'll go back to what I was going to say. We were warned to get out of Liberty, Texas by the police. They said, get out of our town. They did. They wanted us out of there. But I'm sorry, what did you say?
No, I was just asking, like, what was it like, dealing with the police after Patricia went missing? Like, it sounds like they didn't really do a good job.
Very, very horrible. They said she's nothing but a drug head. She'll come up. Basically, they called her trash and everything like that. And even to this day, she went through 2 detectives, and that's when we said, that's it, my mom and I, we're going to do our own investigation. She, would go do her things. But even with the detective now, Detective Taylor, anybody that she meets, she'll tell you that she didn't know about us until 8 years after she had Patricia's case, which is a lie, because she was there the day that we got separated. Anytime I call her with a lead, she gets very angry and upset. One instance not too long ago, I called the sheriff's office and talked to them. I was trying to figure out some information about why there's a warrant saying no driver's license. 1 second. It was for no driver's license. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
Okay. No driver's license, no liability insurance, public intoxication, unlawfully carrying a weapon, no liability insurance again. So I'm trying to figure out whose car she was in. Couldn't they have that information? But they said that they don't. Anytime someone gets pulled over and they're driving, the license plate, the color, the make, the model, everything's put in the system. But all of that is missing. So I called her, and she got upset that the sheriff's office had even talked to me and tried to help me, and said that she was wanting to know who it was. She's going to call them. That's impeding on her case, which I just think is odd, because I'm just trying to follow up and see what information I can get. Anytime there is a lead and I call her and say, hey, there's a person over here that has gone missing, or someone's seen something or heard something, we need to go check it out, she will stop us. Like, you can't go there. That's private property. You have to wait until I get an order from a judge to go. Like, it's frustrating, because she says that she cares, but anytime I have anything, she sets me completely down. And it's frustrating.
Well, yeah, and you're being so tenacious and persevering through all of this, which, it's your sister. Like, I totally understand the drive, and you would think that the police would want to help you.
Mhm.
What, like, this has obviously had a huge impact on you. Like, how does it impact your day to day, and what keeps you going and trying to find Patricia? Like, what keeps you going every day?
I try to be strong because I do have a kid. He knows her like the back of his hand, even though he's never met her. But he reminds me a lot of her. The way he wears his socks, his intelligence, his smile. He has the same teeth as she does. But day to day, it's hard. Some days are worse than others. I've developed PTSD because I always go back to that day that I last seen her. Depression, anxiety. I'm very protective over my son. I don't let him go like regular parents let them go to sleep over, stuff like that. Because he's all I got. It has truly mentally destroyed me, honestly. But I'm trying, I talk to my counselor and stuff to try to help me through it. And it helps from time to time. But I do know I missed out a few times in, my son's life because I'm chasing these leads. I have to chase them by myself because I don't have the detective help. He'll just tell me, well, if you hear anything, let me know. I spent nights looking in dangerous places. I've had guns pulled out on me. It's horrible. It's one thing to know where someone is, but to not know is the hardest thing ever.
You said, the police aren't being much of a help, but people listening, how can they help you? Like, people who are listening to this right now or on the Facebook group, I guess what can they do to help you in your search for your sister?
First, please pray. Prayer is very important to me. That's what helped me get through. But please pray that we find answers. Pray Patricia gets peace. She can finally rest if she is gone. I would like them to check out the Missing 40 page and also her page, and please share her picture. And if anybody knows something, please just come forward. There's plenty of ways to do it anonymous. We love her, we miss her, and we need your help. We have exhausted every possibility. And it's very important that the public help in any way, whether it's prayer, sharing her picture. But I encourage everyone to take a look into the Missing Texas 40 so they can understand for themselves.
If you know anything about Patricia's disappearance, please get in touch with the Liberty Police Department at 936-336-5666 and reference case number 022463. Again, I also urge you to check out the Facebook pages Help Find Missing Person Patricia Marie Small and the Missing Texas 40. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show appreciation, you can buy me a coffee at the link in the description. If you want to support the podcast on a monthly basis, you can head to the Patreon. For $5 a month, you get ad and sponsor-free episodes, exclusive content, and early access to all new episodes of the podcast. If you don't want to spend any money, you can support the podcast by leaving a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Also, you can give the Missing and Unexplained podcast a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. The links are in the description. For those of you who have donated, left a review, or followed me on social media in the last little while, thank you. Your help is greatly appreciated. Thanks for listening to the Missing and Unexplained podcast.